Okay, President Wireman, everybody from the waiting room has been admitted. Their cameras have been turned off for security reasons, and the meeting is being recorded at this time.
And thank you. The call to order for council regular meeting of May 19th, 2021. Begin with the roll call.
President Wireman.
Here.
Vice President Presser.
Here.
Councilmember Delizio.
Here.
Councilmember Ferguson is absent. Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Kaler.
Here.
Manager DeFinis.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to all rise for a pledge of allegiance, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America,
And
to the republic
for
for which it stands, one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all. Mr. Stevens will provide our invocation this evening.
Almighty God, we thank you for blessing us with another day in your creation, and for the blessings of this beautiful weather that we have been enjoying. We're thankful for this opportunity to serve our community and ask that you guide us and give us wisdom as we work on its behalf. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
We had an update to this evening's agenda posted to council this afternoon. Due to the public information staff being absent, the revised agenda did not make it to the website. However, the only addition was to new business category 6D, being a resolution for recognizing Public Works Week. And then item 7B, motion for consideration of approval of resolution 2021-11, same thing. And then just a revised bill list, which we'll be able to share later. So with that comment, do I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion for the approval of the agenda. So moved.
Motion by Councilor Cresser, second by Councilor Delizio.
Mr.
Do we
President,
have any other additions or changes?
yes, if I may, since committee reports aren't on this evening's agenda, if I may request that we add a property and equipment committee report under new business, I suppose, for a brief report.
Okay.
Thank you.
So item E under new business. Committee report on, you said public safety, police?
Property and equipment.
Okay, property equipment. Sorry. All right. Anything else? Everyone's okay with that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's approved with those changes. We had our minutes from the April workshop and regular meetings for approval this evening. Take a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Stevens, second by Councilor Delizio. Anyone have corrections or changes to the minutes? April 7, April 21. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's been approved. Thank you for the detail on the HTMA lateral discussion on April 7th. Very good capture of everything there.
You're welcome.
Hey, item 3 on our agenda is time for public input. Anyone wishing to address council this evening, please state your name and address.
At this time, President Wyman, I do not see anybody using the hand raise function on Zoom to address council or Mayor Kaler this evening.
Going once. Thank you. And we'll move into our announcements. Manager DeFinis.
Thank you, President Wyman. Announcements are, the HERC is scheduled to meet Wednesday, May 26th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Registration is required. The next Planning Commission is scheduled for June 14th, 7 p.m. in person in Borough Council chambers. Next Borough Council meeting is on June 16th, the workshop and regular meeting at 7:30 via Zoom. Registration required. The Hatfield Museum and Historical Society is scheduled to meet Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. via their Facebook Live feed. And the borough office will be closed on Monday, May 31st, in observance of the Memorial Day holiday.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else they'd like to highlight?
Mr. President, if I may, just want to make sure everyone's aware of the Hatfield Museum and History Society community program that, like mentioned, that's this coming Tuesday, will be titled "We Will Remember Them." And it will be a tribute to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And it will tell of the 13 Hatfield men, 4 who were Hatfield Borough residents that lost their lives in service to their country. So it's a timely program a week before Memorial Day. Again, the program will be on the Society's Facebook page on Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for that news. No other items. Will continue with number 5 on the agenda for old business and discussion. A being the feral cat ordinance, chapter 2 updates. Have some continued discussion.
Hey, John, if I could talk to you a little bit about this. After that last meeting, we talked about that I would investigate some of the issues that are going on in the borough. And what was that?
Hold on one second, let me mute. You can continue, Councilmember
Okay.
Cresser. I
Okay.
muted the mayor.
I thought I got, I didn't see the cane. I thought I got pulled off the stage or something, you know? But at any rate, back to the point, I said, I was talking about the last meeting, I said I would start investigating this stuff. And I did reach out, did visit some of the residents. I did also talk to some people on the phone. Seems to be a pretty good interest in it, pro and con, which requires a little bit more follow-up. And there's also some other people that I want to go see as well. But at this time, I would strongly advise that we don't pursue this right at the moment. And it's nothing, it has nothing to do with how it's written or whatever. I just need more time. You know, I try to work 24 hours a day. I'm not too successful with that, but I do try. And unfortunately, the people don't keep the hours I do when I do have some free time. But I did talk to most of the people on Saturdays. And there's your little bit of an update, but I do need more time to pursue this.
Okay, it's good to
John,
hear.
if I may interject a little bit there. John and I did discuss some of his follow-up, and recommended maybe we put it back into the Planning, Building and Zoning Committee, since it would be an ordinance issue that they would work on. So return it to committee process and remove it from the agenda until they're ready to bring it forward.
That's good.
Yep. More discussion, any updates would be beneficial. So yeah, we'll look for the committee to provide information on what they've learned.
You know, it was fascinating is the idea that people were, wow, I can't believe you would have even taken interest in me. You know, come on, that's what we do, you know. And I I'm always excited about how that works out. When somebody's sort of happy that you take the time. I mean, that's what I do in my business. And I just use the same kind of reasoning also in this. But it would be nice if they were available like after the meetings and stuff like that at 11 or 12, but that doesn't work out too well. They would think I'm crazy.
Okay. Well, maybe by the time the committee's ready to provide some updates, we'll be back in council chambers and we could see if you like to have residents invited to that meeting so we get firsthand discussion going. All right.
Well, like I said, do me a favor, give me time on this. It just takes
Anybody
time.
else have comments on this discussion? If not, we'll either see it on June or depending how things go with the committee, maybe not till July. Very good suggestion. Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Item B is our sewer lateral repair ordinance. And we've, as discussed last time, was an update and change to section, or not section, but subparagraph 4 under transfer on page 3. I think this captures more along the lines of what we were hoping to achieve. Anyone else want to comment on that?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, John, at the last meeting, it was brought up that they wanted to, Jason brought it up about adding the commercial properties to include
Yes.
in this ordinance. Okay.
Yeah, I think it says all properties where previously it just addressed residential, but that word residential was eliminated. Now it just says all properties that are being transferred, so it would include commercial. John, you had something?
Now I have one question for this. All right, this isn't an action item for tonight, is it? Good. Correct?
No, it's not on for an action item tonight.
All right, super. Okay, thanks. That's what I want to know. I'll be back.
Jason?
Can you guys hear me?
Now it's better. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that wasn't my phone ringing. As we think about commercial properties and the likelihood that they're not going to be sold frequently, do we want to put something in there that says that commercial properties have to be have an inspection within a certain period of time, knowing that they may not get transferred or sold for 10, 20, 30 years? Just a thought for discussion. So,
Yeah. I guess you could say that if we knew there was an issue, that there was some, backup or other event that occurred, that we would want to have an inspection. And under that circumstance, it would be something the borough would want to pay for, or on a commercial property, it makes sense to say pick a number, 15 years, stick with the 10 years.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking is that, and then basically add a section in there that would say that commercial properties would need to be inspected as of within X number of years of the date of this resolution, so they would get that first inspection in sometime, right? Not sure what that date should be, but
I know some of this stuff came from the engineer, so we could ask him in terms of the timing of it. That's where these years in here came from, so.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, let's pose that question, because I think, my only thought is that, like I said, commercial properties probably sell even less frequently than others. And so, we might go 20 or so years before we'd ever get that inspected, so.
Okay. I don't recall in any of the other samples if that was addressed.
Yeah, Andrew might be able to answer that. I don't remember reading anything about any other
No.
commercial properties.
Yeah.
It was not addressed in the resale category of lateral inspections that we had done research on. And we have had this discussion in the past with the engineering firm that is something we should look at as well. But I'm not sure if this is the proper place to capture it, because we're not looking at resale, we're looking at a whole nother program. So I'll talk with Kate and Andrew and Chad. Will get together on it and come up with a recommendation. Should it be included in here some way, or should we look at another piece of legislation for that?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does, good.
Okay. I like it. Anyone else other than section 4? We didn't have comments on any of the other pieces.
To go back to the commercial again real quick, Mike, so it sounds like there's been some discussion about this in the past. Has this been something that's been discussed or an issue that's been out there? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, especially for separating the two, the residential, we looked at as you know, HTMA has made recommendations in the past verbally as they were receiving them from DEP. Now that it's become a written directive from DEP, that forced the issue forward for the HTMA and the borough to address this. So,
right, but no,
so
what I'm
that's-
referring to, I'm sorry, what I'm referring to is more the commercial side. Has there been discussions or things that have happened in the past with us regarding the commercial side and how to manage?
What we've done is we've looked at the commercial side a couple different times from flow capacities. And we've actually gone back and restructured some of the EDUs as per that flow capacity. Just to give you, for instance, one of the large apartment complexes, when they came in years ago, they were all issued an EDU for each unit, and they paid those EDUs. And then they, as a service to their residents, they installed coin-operated laundry, washing machines and drying machines in their basements, attaching them into the sewer system. All right. So those EDUs were not captured for a long time. So through the review of the usage, we saw that we were losing several EDU connections or charges monthly or quarterly from a large apartment complex, and as well as other businesses that had grown their business internally and were using more capacity. So that gave us the trigger that, okay, if that's happening and these units were built in the 60s, and I'll just give, for instance, one of the buildings was built in 1957. So yeah, we have the same problem with those properties that we have with residential properties.
Yeah, they can hear you.
So we should look to do that as well. But how do you do that? if you're not gonna do it as a
What we're gonna
resale
do is-
issue, you're gonna do it as a constant or as a method through inspections or through a review of usage, then that's where you can flip.
No, we want to stop and say our dad.
Okay, makes sense.
Does that explain it, Jason?
It does, it does. So like I said, I was just trying to understand some of the conversations that have happened in the past about it. So, yep, I got it.
Okay, well, again, we'll keep this one on for next meeting, and if we get a suggestion as to how to deal with commercial properties, and especially, as you say, the idea of maybe having them inspected within a certain time period of adoption of this ordinance. That'd be the direction to head. Anything else on that one? Okay. Not, we'll look at the final item under old business, the Edinburgh Square subdivision and utility update.
So I wanted you to see this to know that the engineer is working with the developer, and they're trying to find out if that the last bit of information that they want to do, if that will affect any stormwater, the grading of flipping that one driveway from one side to the other. So I think that's the final piece we're waiting on. And then we can get back to the Edinburgh Square people and tell them yes or no when they come up with those final calculations on how that flipping of that driveway would affect their on their plan.
So this sort of originated May 12th, and then Chad's message from last Friday. Again, under the scenario, we're not meeting until mid-June. Is this a council action once we see revised plans, or can engineer and staff decide upon moving forward on the project?
And that's a discussion that I've had with Chad, and he says in the current form, these are field changes, okay?
Okay.
But they're field changes that are documented. So we feel comfortable that this is acceptable for us to work through internally. Now, if the flipping of that driveway and the grading of that property causes a concern to the stormwater program, then that would have to come back to Borough Council. That's the only thing that would, I believe at this point, would send it back to Borough Council. If Chad feels as though the stormwater issue is not impacted by the grading of flipping that driveway, then we could make it a field change and move forward.
Okay, good. Anyone have questions on the project development? All right, hearing none, we'll go into new business category. First being tax collector. See copy of the checks received during the discount period, $223,468.54, and then the payment for the fire protection that's passed through from the borough to the fire company. And as discussed previously, since this is the discount period, our budget number is based on a non-discounted tax payments. We can't anticipate how much discount's going to be taken by taxpayers. So the budgeted amount would most likely be less than, I'm sorry, the actual collected amount will most likely be less than what's been budgeted. This is a good starting point for us, though. Item B. Hatfield Township's going to have a zoning hearing board meeting on the Georgetown greenhouses expansion, which flows beyond the borough line into the township line. And that's scheduled for next Thursday.
So I put this on for discussion because of the fact that the property itself, some of it sits in the borough, some of it, the piece that's going to be developed sits in the township, and the stormwater portion is going to be in the borough. But the road access is from a borough road, West Vine Street by the railroad tracks, back along the railroad and the Diddens property to their facility. Most of all the zoning comments are contained in the township part of it. The borough's concern would be the land development side and making sure that the stormwater issues are addressed. But there were some things that the engineer, just doing a quick review of the plan itself, we should request some items that they should look at and ask the zoning hearing board to make it their decision that they should be directed to look at some of the pipes that are existing out there to make sure they can handle the stormwater that's going to be coming off that property and flowing under the railroad. Look at the traffic implications of trucks coming and going off of that property onto West Vine Street, so close to the railroad. And there were a couple other items I'd have to go back and review. So I wanted you to know that I don't think this is something that Borough Council wants to oppose. We want to support the growth of our businesses being in the township and in the borough, but we want to make sure that our concerns are made aware at the zoning hearing meeting. So I was going to work with Kate tomorrow and Friday to get a letter together to send as a support letter to the zoning hearing board on this, but make note of those items that we would like to see addressed, made aware of that during land development that are taken care of.
Yep, good recommendation, absolutely. So when you say the trucks, there's going to be a new road put in to get back to this facility?
Yeah, they have an earthen road back there now. They use millings and stone to create this. And in their land development, they would have to spell out exactly how they're going to do that. All right. So they, like I said, there's some things in land development that are going to go on that we want to be aware of and how they're going to do it. And they'll have to comply with whatever regulations are in the borough, because it looks like that portion of it's going to be, the road's going to be in the borough, most of it. And then the stormwater and then the pipes that go from their property underneath the railroad, they're all in the borough portion of the property. So if you look at it, borough Diddens owns 4 trucks and rents 6 trucks during their peak seasons. So they're going to have trucks coming and going from that property. I would believe no new trucks will be going at it, but they're going to have trucks going back to that new portion of that property on a daily basis.
the pads or greenhouse sections that are next to the residence on the same side of where this development's going to occur on the south side of Vine Street, they're remaining as far as you know? The road is going to run next to those, it looks like.
The road will run, well, the house, the road won't run up near any of those houses.
Okay,
The road runs up there now. And if you see those couple of, like those 3 greenhouses that are on the left side of that little triangle down the bottom.
right,
Down in here, that's where the road runs closest to any building, any structure.
okay,
All right. And then it goes up, and it's hard for you to see it, but it'll go. If you look at the above the pink area, you see where the road comes off of away from the railroad back into where I guess there would be their loading zone there. But it also looks like they're going to have parking back there for employees. So there's going to be more than just trucks going in and out of there if there's people working back there.
right,
Now, as he said, they bought I believe a wreath business, a wreath growing or decorating construction business. And that's, I believe, part of what they want to put back there. So seasonally, they'll have more employees back there.
they've owned this site in the township for a while?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
they
surprised
acquired it.
Yeah, surprised it's residential.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes,
Quick question. Are we talking what, just like delivery trucks, or is your concern like tractor trailers? And if so, what would be their strategy as far as which way they exit? What do you have? What do you know? Is there anything you know?
I don't, and that would be land development, it's not really, wouldn't be addressed during this, but I think part of that support letter, we would say to the zoning hearing board that, maybe a traffic study should be done at that intersection to define how the truck should come out of there.
Yeah, and
do
I guess
you-
it depends the kind of trucks they are too.
Correct.
Because that would narrow it down too, because you could save a lot of time for them as far as a traffic study. If they're usually using like standard delivery trucks is one thing, that because we see them around town all the time. But I understand your concern with that would make us get into a traffic study if they were into tractor trailers, and then what, I see where you're saying, but
Well, they get trailers now to their property.
okay,
All right, but now we're adding more trailers to a difficult side of the rail of the road.
right,
That rail, are they going to be able to make the turn out of there to make a right-hand turn? And if they can't, do you make them go straight down Butler? Now you've put them on Talmenson Avenue where there's no trucks allowed except for local deliveries, which they utilize that all the time for that purpose. Or do you want to make them make a left out of that difficult section and go out Vine Street, up to Coffle Road?
right.
So there's not really a good answer. So I think someone that does that for us professionally should look at it.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, is it something that we would have someone look at and end up paying for? Or is it something that they should come back, propose a study, and then tell us how they're going to manage this?
I think the letter to the zoning hearing board should state that Borough Council would like to see the applicant fund a traffic study for that property right there, that access and egress.
Okay.
And when would they get the land development, borough, borough planning commission and borough council should have input on how that road is constructed.
Agreed.
John, I have a couple questions. The road that's going to lead back to this development of the Denton's. Now, we just had some townhouses built back that way. How close is this expansion going to be to them new townhouses?
And I think if
They're on the other side of the tracks.
yeah, can you zoom out a little bit on the photo, on the sketch? There they are down at the bottom, Sal. So they're on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Right. So noise and cars going by are not going to affect the residents of the new townhouses that were just built.
That would be
I
a
mean, I don't
township,
know. See, I don't know how close they are, you know?
yeah, that would be a
And I don't-
township question.
Yeah, but we have some townhouses back that way too.
Just what, one building, two buildings all the way in the very front?
I thought we had about 7. Mike, you know?
Well, I think the two that are shown on the sketch there are the closest. The other ones are in the township.
Right, right.
But during land development, that's when the township should say, hey, you have to put a buffer here, and the lighting plan should be so that there's no lights shining in these people's back windows here along from Lydia Drive that butt up to the back of the railroad. So that's all items that should be addressed in the land development, but you could put that note in the support letter. The borough supports the expansion of the business, but wants the zoning hearing board to be cognizant of the fact that they should, take into consideration the lighting plan should be reviewed not only with the township, but with the borough, because it may affect borough properties. And that the traffic study should be done, as well as some other items with stormwater pipes and things like that. So yes, we can address that in a letter, but that's up to the township zoning board to put that in their decision, if they so choose or not to.
Hey, Mike, I got another quick question. I never even hear any of the activity. You mentioned trucks, they have deliveries already, and I never hear that anyway. Question is, are they expanding their hours any? Would they be around the clock or anything like that? Is there any, or would they be standard hours?
They, in their letter that was in the packet, it doesn't appear as though they're expanding their hours.
All right.
But during seasonal business, when especially now that they have they bought this wreath business, and this piece back here will be supporting that. I believe there could be more activity back there, but more on the same type hours that they already have.
I'm good. I like the idea of growing a business in town. That's fine. The question is that we don't step on other people's toes, and we're doing the right thing by talking about it. So it's all good.
Hey, Mike,
Yes, sir.
my other second question would have been, there's a creek that runs in back of the houses on Vine Street.
Yes.
Has this become a questionable too, or
Well,
when it goes to that road?
and that that waterway actually does run down and under the railroad. All right, and comes out actually in the borough. So part of that is they're gonna have to build the retention basin large enough to offset the impervious coverage that they're putting on this property in the township. All right. So that basin should contain any excess water flow from all the impervious coverage that's being taken up. It has to be constructed to that capacity. So in theory, it should not impact that waterway.
Okay.
And that's the look we get during land development.
Yes. They're gonna have to go through land develop, and it should, the letter should also state that, land development should be simultaneous with the borough and the township, so that, we know what they're doing and they know what we're doing.
I think you got all the bases covered, so construct a nice letter. Thank you.
I will share that with everyone, the draft, and then ask for any comments, and then have it prepared for distribution to the zoning hearing board as part of their packet to consider the night of the discussion.
Good.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Next item under new business was the change order request number 1 for the ADA curb ramp, which we had the pipe issue at Blaine and Maine. So total recommended number is $8,900 for this additional work. It's nice to get it done while they were there and the road was open. Any questions? That's an action item for approval later.
I have none.
Okay. And item D, we added concerns the resolution 2021-11 recognizing Public Works Week, which happens to be this week, correct? 16th to the 22nd.
That's next week.
61st annual. Wow. Did our new Public Works Director know that this was in the work, so to speak?
No, the assistant manager actually
Yeah,
discovered it and
Good.
discussed it with the
Mhm.
public works director and myself.
good. Okay. And then new business E, Property and Equipment Committee wanted to discuss a report.
Yes, thank you. The Property and Equipment Committee will be scheduling a meeting soon to discuss moving our council meetings back to in-person in the Borough Building and what that would look like. It's hoped that we can begin meeting in person again for our July meeting. We'll also be discussing options of sharing our council meetings with our residents once we return to in-person meetings. And we plan to have recommendations for council at our June meeting. Thank you.
Terrific. Yep, good target, and look forward to hearing that in June. Any questions for Larry? Committee?
No,
Okay. We can go into our action items. Item A, first motion for considering approval to change order request number 1 for the 2021 ADA curb ramp replacement project in the amount of $8,900.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Ferguson, second by Counselor Stevens. Any other questions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion's been approved. Item B, motion for approval of resolution 2021-11, recognizing Public Works Week.
I'll
I'll
make the
make that
motion.
motion.
Motion by Counselor
It was a
Cresser,
tie.
second by Counselor Ferguson.
Runner gets a tie, John, but I couldn't see him running.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion's been approved. Thanks for sharing that, posting it with the guys. That'll be nice. Does that include lunch?
It
Right.
does.
Yes.
It does.
Pizzas?
Sure.
Very
Pizzas
good.
on Friday. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Order enough for all of us.
And item 8 was our payment of the revised bill list. Have a motion.
I'll make that.
I'll make a
motion.
motion.
Motion by Counselor Ferguson, I think that time, right?
Mhm.
Second by Counselor Cresser. Got a salt bill coming through.
Yeah, Mike, I was curious, what was the difference in salt this year versus last year? Do you know offhand?
Well, that salt bill that's on there was actually from December. It got lost in transit. So that was the last salt purchase we made last year. So we probably made, we budgeted $20,000 for salt. I'd have to go back and see what other purchases we made, but that was last year's salt purchase.
Okay.
It was bill from December. It came through this week, early this week, as second past due notice. The first time we got it. So
Do you think it's gonna impact the budget numbers for this year?
no, it should not, because we have a nice stockpile of salt, so we probably won't be tapping. Well, let's hope that we don't get any snow in November and December. So, but we have $20,000 in this year's budget as well.
Okay.
Any questions on any of the numbers? Amp bill at 111,792 for this time of year. It's not too bad, other than, as we've stated, the transmission charges are representing a larger and larger percentage of the bill.
Almost 50% this month.
Yeah, unreal.
Wow.
Soon as we get the generating source up, our next goal will be to get some transmission in place.
Jamie sat in on that conversation today with the joint behind the meter generation project with the two entities that are handling it.
Right. There are questions on the bill list? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? Let's spend that tax money. Pay the bills. Motion's
Motion to adjourn.
approved. We have executive session.
We do have an executive session, Mr. President.
I'll second John's motion.
Personnel and real estate.
Thank you. Okay. Sounds like we're adjourned.